History remembers emperors for grand victories, for magnificent buildings, or for catastrophic failures. Some, however, occupy a shadowy space, their reigns brief flashes amidst greater upheavals. Trebonianus Gallus, Roman emperor from 251 to 253 AD, is one such figure. His rule falls squarely within the tumultuous crisis of the 3rd century, a period when the very fabric of the Roman world seemed to unravel. Though often relegated to footnotes, Gallus's story offers a valuable window into this era of chaos and the struggles of those who dared to seize the imperial purple. To understand Gallus, we must first understand the context into which he was thrust. The Roman Empire of the mid-3rd century was a far cry from the stable, prosperous state it had once been. Barbarian incursions plagued the frontiers, ambitious generals vied for power, and plagues and economic woes ravaged the heartland. Into this maelstrom stepped Gallus, not as a conquering hero, but as a reluctant emperor grappling with forces beyond his control. His story is not one of triumph, but of resilience, of attempting to hold together an empire on the brink. Gaius Vibius Trebonianus Gallus was born around 206 AD, far from the gleaming marble of Rome. His birthplace was likely Perugia in Etruria, a region north of the capital with a long and proud history predating Roman dominance. The Etruscans, once masters of central Italy, had left their mark on Roman culture, from religious practices to artistic motifs. Gallus, though thoroughly Romanized, hailed from this lineage, a detail not insignificant in the context of a fracturing empire. Despite his provincial origins, Gallus's family possessed the most valuable asset in Roman society's senatorial rank. This opened doors, providing access to the highest echelons of power. Gallus, like many ambitious young men of his class, embarked on the cursus honorum, the traditional path of public offices. He served as a senator, then as suffect consul, a position of high honor. These roles honed his administrative skills and brought him into contact with the intricate workings of Roman government, proving invaluable experience for the trials to come. It was on the empire's troubled frontiers, however, that Gallus truly made his mark. He was appointed governor of Moesia Superia, a province along the Danube River, a region perpetually menaced by barbarian tribes. Here, Gallus demonstrated his mettle as a soldier and administrator, earning a reputation for competence and, crucially, for loyalty to the Emperor Decius. Fate, however, had a cruel twist in store. In 251 AD, Decius, along with his son and co-emperor Herennius Etruscus, suffered a catastrophic defeat and death at the Battle of Abritus while fighting the Goths. This was a blow from which the already reeling empire could scarcely recover. The legions, leaderless and demoralized, looked for a new emperor, a figure who could restore order. Their gaze fell upon Gallus. Whether through ambition or a sense of duty, Gallus accepted the dangerous honor, becoming emperor in the ashes of defeat. Gallus's first act as emperor was one born of necessity, not glory. Faced with the victorious Goths who threatened to overrun the Balkans, he concluded a peace treaty. Its terms were harsh. The Goths were allowed to keep their plunder, including Roman captives, and were granted an annual tribute in exchange for withdrawing across the Danube. In Rome, the news of this agreement was met with outrage. The once mighty empire, it seemed, was now paying for peace, a bitter pill to swallow. Gallus, however, understood the realities of his situation. The treasury was depleted, the army shattered, and the eastern provinces were under threat from the Persians. To rebuild he needed time, and the Gothic treaty, however unpalatable, bought him that precious commodity. Nonetheless, it cast a long shadow over his reign, marking him in the eyes of some as weak, a leader who had bought peace at the cost of Roman prestige. As if the threat from without were not enough, a new horror gripped the Roman world plague. Sweeping across the empire, it decimated the population, leaving cities depopulated and the economy in ruins. The Antonine Plague of a century earlier had been a harbinger, but this outbreak, often referred to as the Plague of Cyprian, was even more devastating. The plague struck at the very heart of Roman society. Trade ground to a halt, fields lay fallow, and the social order began to fray. Desperate citizens turned to traditional gods and new cults, seeking solace and salvation. Gallus, like emperors before him, found himself confronting a foe against which legions and edicts were useless. He could offer only symbolic gestures, attempting to maintain public morale and order amidst the unfolding disaster. The plague, however, left an indelible mark on his reign, exacerbating the already dire situation and further weakening his grip on power. In times of crisis, rulers often turn to propaganda to bolster their image and project an air of strength and stability. Gallus was no different. The coinage minted during his reign provides valuable insights into how he wished to be perceived by his subjects. While we may lack detailed historical accounts of his life, coins offer a tangible link to his reign and the messages he sought to convey. Many coins from Gallus's time bear the inscription Pax Eterna, eternal peace. This was no doubt intended to reassure a population living in fear, to project an image of an empire restored to order under his firm hand. Other coins depict the emperor making sacrifices to the gods, emphasizing his piety and his role as a mediator between the divine and the mortal. These images, however, could not mask the realities of plague, war, and economic hardship that plagued his reign. They stand today as a poignant reminder of the gap that can exist between the image a ruler projects and the tumultuous reality on the ground. While Gallus contended with crises in the west, a storm was brewing in the east. Shapur I, the energetic and ambitious king of the Sasanian Empire, had his eyes on the wealthy Roman provinces of Syria and Asia Minor. Seizing the opportunity presented by Roman weakness, Shapur launched a series of devastating attacks. Roman defences, already stretched thin, crumbled before the Sasanian onslaught. City after city fell to Shapur's forces. Antioch, the jewel of the East, and the Roman Empire's third-largest city, was sacked and its inhabitants slaughtered or enslaved. The news of these defeats, filtering back to Rome, further eroded Gallus's already shaky authority. He seemed unable to stem the tide of disasters engulfing the empire from all sides. His reign, once a beacon of hope amidst chaos, was becoming synonymous with defeat and humiliation. The final blow to Gallus's reign came not from external enemies, but from within the ranks of the Roman army itself. In the province of Moesia, the very region where Gallus had once served with distinction, a new figure rose to prominence: Aemilianus, a general of charisma and ambition. Tasked with defending the Danube frontier against the Goths, Aemilianus achieved a string of impressive victories, restoring Roman honor and boosting the morale of his troops. Emboldened by his success and sensing weakness in Rome, Aemilianus marched his legions west, intent on claiming the purple for himself. Gallus, accompanied by his son and co-emperor Volusianus, moved to confront the usurper. Their armies met at Interamna in central Italy. There, however, fate intervened. In August of 253 AD, Gallus and his son were betrayed by their own troops and murdered. The soldiers, weary of defeat and drawn to Aemilianus's aura of victory, switched sides, ending Gallus's reign in blood and treachery. Trebonianus Gallus's reign was brief, lasting a mere 2 years. He was quickly succeeded by Aemilianus, who himself would fall victim to the endless cycle of usurpation and violence that characterized the crisis of the 3rd century. In the annals of Roman history, Gallus is often relegated to a footnote, a shadowy figure sandwiched between more prominent emperors. His legacy, however, deserves a closer look. Gallus inherited an empire in chaos, beset by internal strife and external threats. He faced challenges that would have tested even the most capable ruler. The Gothic treaty, though unpopular, bought him valuable time, while his efforts to project an image of stability amidst plague and war, however futile, demonstrate a ruler struggling to maintain order against overwhelming odds. Ultimately, Gallus was a tragic figure, a man thrust into an impossible situation, his reign a microcosm of the chaos that engulfed the Roman world in the mid-3rd century. His story serves as a stark reminder that even in the grand narrative of empire, the line between success and failure, between remembrance and oblivion, can be razor thin.